2 points. 2 points was all I needed for a top 1% finish. I was 2 points shy. A single booster would have done it. That's all I needed. One more booster, and I would have got 25 instead of 18 points. Obviously, I'm very happy with 18 points, but it doesn't really change too much. I'm number 2 on the leaderboard, so I've overtaken Striker. But P2, he had the same team, didn't do as well on boosters, but still finished with a 4%. So still 10 points between me and number 1. We have 4 events left in the season. So I think over these 2 Dallas events, and I think it's Yellow and then Blast, I can close this gap. So let's start with Dallas Groups. So first up with groups, keep in mind only 3 teams from each of the groups get through to the playoffs, and the teams that go into the upper final will get a round of padding. So obviously we want to pick teams that didn't get through the upper final. Makes sense. This is my predictions for the bracket. And it goes out saying in Group A that Miles and Vitality would be the 2 group teams that we expect to go to the upper final. I think the only upset potential is in Complexity, who look pretty good at the moment, but with how massively Miles both beat Complexity and Vitality, I think you're crazy not to pick into Miles in this group. However, Complexity can do it in the lower run. I think they should be able to beat a weak G2. Because remember, G2, they don't have Pixie. Nexa presumably is calling, and you've got Stewie, who hasn't really played a lot of officials outside of that very short stint on Legacy. So in my eyes, Mouse and Vitality, the 2 teams you're going to be picking into here. But I don't hate like a dip into a Complexity. I wouldn't dip really into any of the other teams here, but Complexity, I think they've got a pretty good run of getting through. I don't think Liquid can do it, but Complexity, yes. So Group B, like Group A, has 2 obvious favorites in Spirit and FaZe. A slight caveat where FaZe famously don't make it easy for themselves when they go through groups. I think Spirit have shown some vulnerabilities, but I think overall, when you look at this group, when you look at the runs that they have, it'd be surprising not to have FaZe and Spirit in the upper final. The obvious upsets are going to be potentially VP. If they can make this thing work with Electronic, I don't know what's going wrong, but they're the kind of dark horse of this group, I would say. With Heroic not having Dagster, it's obviously going to be VP that prevails kind of in that run. And then obviously Na'Vi, they're probably the team I would put as 3rd in this group. They've shown some good stuff against Spirit, but I don't know if they're good enough to beat Spirit at the moment. Spirit feel hungry, right? They want that win, and I think they really want to go through cleanly here. So I actually think, given Spirit have the easiest opening game, they're probably the team that you might want to go more heavily into. But FaZe have the easiest run with that 2nd round game. I think they should comfortably beat VP. And then even if they lose to VP, if they drop down to that lower run, it's the easier side of the lower run. So I think overall, despite FaZe tending to have some struggles in groups, they should be on a pretty clean path here. So FaZe, Spirit, Na'Vi, and then VP if you want to go something a little bit outside of the ordinary. Let's take a look at some players. First up, Stewie. Can we just take a look at his numbers? Because he has been so insane this last month. Obviously, they've been winning everything. I think the big question when you're picking Stewie is, how long can he maintain this for? You know, is this just a flash in the pan, or have we unlocked something in Mouse at the moment where they're untouchable? I think regardless, you can't really say no to him just because of these numbers and because of how recent it is. So Stewie, I'd be pairing him up with Zershan personally, just because Zershan's form has been so good as well in the same period. However, I don't think you can really go wrong. Obviously, a lot of people are picking Torji, and because of that, you might want to pick someone else like Zershan, but honestly, it's all gonna work. Mals are just gonna roll through this and you can't go wrong. FaZe are super cheap. I mean, Karrigan, incredibly valuable considering his form lately as well. He's been averaging about a 1.0, which is pretty good for his price. Personally, wouldn't go Karrigan and Rain. I'd be looking at Karrigan, one of the carry kind of players. Obviously, we know Rain can perform really well, but I think it's too risky given Rops is only, what, 211? I'd personally want to dip into someone that's got a bit more potential. My 2 cents. Na'Vi, a lot of people are going to be looking at Alexi as the eco pick. He doesn't often have great games. He used to, but this year hasn't been great for him. That said, he's the only player I'm picking on Na'Vi, despite me having them as the 3rd team in this group. I just think it's too risky to draft this team, but if you were, JL would be the guy to go. Vitality, I think FlameZ is obviously the one that jumps out, given he is 12k cheaper than Spinks, but we know his ceiling is very high. Mezzy as well has come down in price, and I think despite some inconsistency, with the group they have, I think he's really good value. G2, Stewie obviously is in so many drafts. He's massively risky. We don't know what to expect from him at this event. We know he's got the mechanical skill. However, you have to remember, on this G2 squad, he's taking over the role of Hooksy. He won't be calling, presumably Nexa will be. But he'll be being, in space creator positions. He'll be running in first, so Nico, Hunter, Monacy can clutch it out and all the rest. So I wouldn't expect him to be putting out star numbers in this team. So therefore, keep that in mind when you're drafting. He's not going to be that superstar that you hope. You just want to, is he going to do better than Lexi? That's kind of the question. Maybe. But GT also might not make it out of groups, so he could cost a lot of drafts. Spirit, Zontix is the guy, I think, with the prices here. Donk, I guess if you're doing a Donk draft, you're probably going Stewie. So there's a lot of chance that, is Donk going to pay for it when you could get players that are a lot cheaper, like Rops, Flamesy, etc., and not have to get Stewie? Things to think about. Yeah, I think Zontix is the guy to go, considering how he played at Batboom. And obviously Chopwood continues to be a really good choice. JT, I think, might actually be better value than Alexi, especially because Complexity have a pretty good chance of getting through Group A, and I feel like JT's ceiling is higher. If you're doubling up on Complexity, obviously it's a Liege you would pair with him, but Holzak, if you only want to do a light investment into Complexity, he's probably the best of these three in terms of current form. VP are very scary to draft into. I think Electronic used to be a very interesting choice, but I feel that something's not working in this VP team. But if you believe it finally will, 196 for Electronic, not bad. I think Jane would then be the next best value. Norbert has gotten a bit too expensive, for my liking anyway. I don't think Liquid have a chance of getting through, but if you believe in them over Complexity, Twist is the guy to go. Nav, it's 1,000 more, and personally I think Twist is better and has better roles. Heroic playing with Nigga does, so don't touch them. Falcons, I don't think they make it through the group despite having a weak G2 as the opening game. I hope FlyQuest do well, but I'll never draft them. Swisher in M80, he could be an interesting bronze choice just because M80 I think have a chance to do some damage here. However, the thing with M80 is they are going to get eliminated. I don't think they make it out of the groups. So the question is, can Swisher or Rek or whoever you get give you enough points that the elimination points don't matter so much? I don't know. JT or Alexi might be a better choice, but he's definitely interesting. None of these teams are interesting though, so let's avoid those. So for my draft, listen, I've labored over this like I have with every event recently, and at the moment I'm going for something safe. I might change. There's a lot of different teams you can do, but currently this is where I'm at. Sesh and Shui, I think it's the killer combo for Mal's, and then I'm just gonna double up on FaZe. I just think I'm gonna play with the two teams I think have the cleanest run through to the playoffs. I do think that Spirit is a viable choice here, and for the same price that I can get Karrigan and Frozen, I can also get Zontix Chopper. But, well, not for quite the same price, because this would mean I'd have to get Stewie. And I don't want to get Stewie. I think he's too risky. I just can't justify it. So instead, I'm going to go Karrigan, Frozen, and Alexi. So I feel that Stewie, with his performance at the moment, I've kind of not, I know I've got 3 IGLs, but I also count on having 3 really solid fraggers as well. I don't love the draft. It's not the best draft I've ever done, but it is a nice, clean, safe draft. And I think at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for a draft that, if everything goes to script, which you imagine it will end up being somewhere between top 10 and top 20. I think this will achieve that. There's no glaring holes in it. I'm not taking a risk on Stewie. It's safe, it's calm, and it's looking for a clean finish. So as always, let me know what you're drafting. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you're doing this season. And good luck.